Alright, I think I'm on live now. Oh yeah, I'm on live now. What's up, Eric Matthew Willow? YT, hello. Thanks, I appreciate it. Anyways, welcome back everybody. It's Creative Redundancy back again, also known as CR. And this live stream, or replay if you're catching it on the replay, is about gear and amount plus chit chat. Now, I'm not an expert in survivalism or preparedness, just one who uses the knowledge gained to help create a better future today. Now, in the description, you'll see that there's some questions that CR will go through, and the thoughts behind it. Now, it's just my opinion. So yeah, it's just my opinion about them, but I'm gonna be answering about six or seven questions here as I go through this. And let me welcome the Mitchell Family Reality Show TV and Serving from My Home. I want to welcome you guys. Thank you for taking the time to drop in. And let's get into it with intro. Boom! Hi everybody. What is up? I want to welcome everyone who's currently in live right now. I appreciate the real-time support. I know you're catching the replay on this. Thank you for taking the time to watch the replay of it. So let me bring up the side chat here so I can actually see it. What's up, Mal? What's up? Big hi to you right here. Big hi to Mal right here. And the YouTube sticker magnet. Yeah. Wait. No. It sticks. Anyways. Let's see. Let me welcome Into the Bush here. What is up, man? Hi. Alright, let me whip up the side chat here. Alright. Because I don't want to get off topic too much here. Alright, I got some questions in the description, so you'll see them here. Yes. Hello, everyone. Anyways, here. So I got a list of questions here. So first and foremost, this is specifically about preparedness, yet could be kind of how do I say, be related to something else too. So, wow, you know what I gotta bring in? Let me welcome Skinny G Panda here into the room. Hi. Alright, anyways, so the first question I have here is, can you have too much or too little gear? So let me answer that first. If you want to give your answer to it, you can hashtag 1 or question 1. So, can you have too much or too little gear? Well, I guess you can have too little gear, right? Especially in a survival type of situation. You could never have, you can have too little of the gear, or not enough of it. Because it does help. Now, it doesn't trump what's in your mind and what you can do with your hands as in terms of knowledge and skills. because gear should never trump skills or knowledge. But gear does help you kind of get things done. It helps you create fire with a lighter. Even as simple as TP. Yeah. Yeah. Now can you have too much of it? Well, I guess you can also have too much of it too. Because gear, like anything you hold in your hands will have weight, like this flashlight. You might have too much of one thing and not enough of something else, which I'll also get into. So your pack might be weighted down too heavily, too much. Your long-term survival bag, whatever you want to call it. If you want to call it your I'm never coming home bag, or your bug out bag, or your BOB, or your go bag, or whatever, right? Can you have too much gear in it? Maybe. Especially if it's too heavy for you. Why I'm always a proponent of trying to cut back on the weight, on the bulk, without sacrificing too much of the capability or the functionality of it. Oh yeah, I can shed like half a pound off, but I'll have to lose that water bottle. I don't know. I don't know if I would lose the water bottle with water just to save half a pound, because obviously you're gonna lose the ability to have water in a container. So something like that I probably wouldn't do. But for something like a lighter, for example, like this lighter I have right here, right? I don't mind losing the little metal flame covering thing. Doesn't add much functionality, and I'm reducing the weight a little, but that's something I do. And the child safety too. So let me bring that dashboard back up. Alright, here's the next question here that goes along with it. How do you know when it's enough? How do you know when it's enough? I guess that's gonna be a personal question. How many kits is enough? How many first aid kits are enough? How many how many emergency kits are enough? But trust me, I have a lot. Hence why they're part of the creative part of me. I mean, I got like four bags. Is it enough? I think so. Some others out there, whoever's watching or whatever, you might think that's too much. And then there's others, they'll be like, oh, that's too little. But, of course, that depends on your own person, I guess, right? Especially if you got a household of 4, you're probably gonna need more. If you're a single bachelor, you might need less of it. But, of course, we all need shelter, water, and food. Those are still important. And I'm gonna get into that too in a little bit here. Now, here's another question right here. What do you do with old or rarely used, if ever, gear? That gear that you decided to buy, oh, I'm gonna go try it out. You buy a box, you try one out, and then you don't even use it anymore. For whatever the reason is. Maybe you've upgraded since. But what do you do with that old or rarely used gear? Do you give it away? Let's say you get a bunch of lighters. Do you pass a few to your friends that like smoke or whatever, right? Or use them. Let's say here's another. If I can bring it right here. I have a whole bunch of these reflectors right here. Now there's obviously I have more than this, but I have a whole bunch of this. And I think I have too much of these. So I've been kind of giving them away, or adding them to our kits, or giving them to people so they can use it, so they can have reflectors with their kind of car kit. I have a friend and I've given a few away, and I made a first miniature survival kit, and I was like, oh, hey, oh yeah, I'll pass you some reflectors too, so you can stick them on if you want to or whatever. I had extra, and I don't mind. I don't mind giving these away. Or the lighters. I have extra. I don't mind so much. You know, and a lot of them I wasn't even using, so. What do you do with all that old or rarely used stuff? I mean, like, let's say flashlights. You got a whole bunch. What do you do with the extra? I know sometimes some of my friends have given me stuff. They're like, "Oh, here's an extra knife, CR. Do you want it?" "Oh, yeah, sure, I wouldn't mind it." Right? You know. And likewise, I offer them the same thing. I'll be like, "Oh, here's some fire starters. Here's some extra fire starters I have laying around." You know, to keep down my kind of bulk, I'm kind of giving some away every so often as I can, right? So let me bring up the chat back up here, because I've stepped away from the screen. And apparently I did for here. So let me welcome here into the chat here, Kelly. Step away from the screens here. Corey Survival, Happy Trails Hiking, and Passion for Hiking and Fishing. Let me just read what you guys wrote, because I had the side chat off at that time. So let me see. Let's see what I want. Hey, thanks Kelly, appreciate that. Yes, step away from the screen says you can definitely have too much gear. I think so too. Where you, I had this other live stream about hoarding and prepping, and I heard about this again in a different live stream on Saturday, briefly talking about it. Prepping is a form of hoarding, except for it's a more organized and useful form of hoarding, where it's more practical, if that makes any sense. I'll probably I'll put an end screen for that later on after this video processes. Alright, anyways. 4 bags, depending on what happens. 4 bags you have packed to carry out. Okay, Skinny G. At least 4 bags. For different situations, yes. And to me, that makes sense. I don't feel like that's too much, because that's certain situation. Your cat bag, bush cat bag, your emergency bug out, go evac type of kit, and then maybe some long-term kit that you have. And maybe you have a few of these kind of sling bags or really small bags that you can just go around with. That meant for long-term, just so you can like go down the street or whatever, go for that walk, go for that day walk, that day hike or day walk. Ah, I see, Corey. I've been doing good, and that's the tooth. Just kidding. Let's see. Oh, and let me welcome Steve here. What's up, man? A big hi from CR here. Alright, let's see. Alright, I think I'm down to the bottom. Alright. So, coming back to my... Come on. Okay, alright. So here's another question right here that relates to a backpack or whatever kit or your overall preparedness thing. Is your gear layout overall balanced, or does it lack in specific areas? So having too much of or having too much of one thing and having too little of another thing. Do you have like let's say 10 flashlights and only like a handful of water? Well, that to me doesn't make sense. Just because, well, water's probably gonna be more important than a flashlight. Everyone needs water every so often, right? Roughly about 2 or 3 days without it. A little bit longer if certain situations, right? But generally speaking, you're probably gonna need at least water every few days. Flashlight, maybe not so often. Now, let's say you got a lot of tools, cutting tools, multi-tool, cutting tools. Yet, do you have the first aid to back that up? Because, you know, these cutting tools are cutting like cutting tools, whatever. Things happen. As safely as you are, right? You might slip or something. You might have a lot of tools, but you have the first aid stuff to back that up, just in case. And likewise, you might have all these tools, but do you have a way to sharpen these kind of knives on these multi-tools and stuff like that? Or a fixed blade or folding knives? So what I'm saying is, do you feel like it's balanced for what you have at the moment? Whoever you are watching or whatever, and everyone on the side chat right now. Is it balanced for you? Where it's like, I mean, for me, I could always use more food and water and food. You know, there's a case of water. I got a case of water. Cans of food and stuff like that, for example, but anyways, let me just go back to the side chat here. Hello, Kira. And let me welcome you with a hi in nail polish and in in nail polish and in stick. Yes. Let me see. Your mouth's numb. Corey. Let me see. We have too much stuff. We are always trying to downsize everything. Happy? Yeah, that's nothing wrong with doing that. Like I always say, I'm always trying to not always per se downsize, but I am trying to reduce weight and bulk, especially in something I have to carry, like a backpack or a belt or in my pockets or whatever. Trying to minimize the weight and the bulk without sacrificing too much of the capability or the functionality of it, whatever it is. I mean, like for example, in a pirate kit, oh yeah, I can shed off another ounce of it. Well, I just had to remove the later. Well, that doesn't help. Let's just say. But maybe I'm changing it out slightly where instead of having a lighter, maybe I'll have matches. So I still get a flame source, although limited a little, but I've reduced it without sacrificing too much of the functionality or the capability. Although, let me correct myself, you'll probably sacrifice a little of the capability, but you'll still have the functionality of having matches versus a lighter. But I generally have I rather have to carry the extra weight of the lighter just because, boom, one hand, right? And I can hold this for however long. Oof. Let me just see. Read the chat room. I don't see the use of a bug out bag as you don't know what situation you're bugging out from. That is true. That is true. And that's why I have more than one. For my own needs, of course. You need to up your first aid game, Happy? Well, so do I every so often. When mine's more gauze, let's just say. Passion, which part do you mean about that? I have exactly like I have one exactly like that. Do you mean by that? Hello, Gray. Let me welcome Gray into the room with a big hi. And let me welcome into the room Jason and Jason Outdoors too. Hello. Big hi to you there. Alright, so anyways. That's why you always make different ones for different situations and seasons. About the situation part, I'm more into that. Not necessarily about the season part. Just because, you know, I'm not a fan of doing it like that. But I am for the situation part. Anyways, going to my next question here. Is having too much of one gear type good? Now, you might hear the terms going tool heavy or something like that. Because obviously with tools like multi-tools, a knife like this Mora here that I have here, pliers, a hatchet, an axe, a saw, a wedge or a chisel like thing. I mean, you could probably make a lot of stuff with that. So is having too much of that good? Eh. It's not negative. Obviously, you're gonna carry more weight, but you can still do a lot. You can make a lot depending on the resources and the materials around you at that time for whatever the situation is. Urban, rural, mountains, whatever, right? But is having too much water a good thing or a bad thing? Probably not necessarily. If you live out in a hotter climate, it's plus 35 Celsius, 95 Fahrenheit or higher. In the desert area, you might want to bring more water. Is that good? Is that gonna be a bad thing? Probably not necessarily. You're gonna need it, but in that same fashion, having so much in a fishing kit when you live out in the desert area, you know, it's all about that balance, right? So let me welcome Kelly Reynolds in here. Hi, Kelly. I just read what you guys wrote real quick. Oh yeah, into the bush. Yeah, exactly. What's up, CV? What's up, man? Yeah, totally true. You have to see how many people are going with you too, right? Probably one bag per person. If they're younger, well, then you'll have to carry their stuff. Or carry some of their stuff. Or if you have pets or whatever, you might have to carry some of that stuff. Although, depending, if they can start walking, they can start carrying their own gear. To a certain degree, of course, right? Alright, so, now I'm coming to my last question here. If one does keep extra backup or redundant sources, how much is enough? I'll give you guys a second to think about that as I correct my grammar here. So yeah, if one does keep extra or backup or redundant sources, how much is enough? Well, that depends. Like, water and food? If you go through water faster, like in the desert, you probably want to keep more of it. If you go through food faster because you have more mouths to feed, you probably should keep more of it. Right? You know, and really how much you keep is up to you, but let's say something like fatwood, right? Yes. How can you not with a K like fatwood? But even with that, it's like how much is too much? Like, it's nice to like gather up stuff and put back stuff, but how much is it too much? Is it, do you have like big containers of it? You know, let's say a big, let's say a 5-gallon bucket of fatwood. Is that a lot? Probably. Are you gonna use it up? Probably. If you burn enough or have campfires, maybe. But if you're not burning it as often, you probably could do with a little bit less. I mean, I have a container of fatwood right here off to the side here. Oops. My bad. I mean, I got a container of fatwood right here. I mean, like, to me, is this too much? No, not really. There's still room inside. But some people have more, and some people have less. To me, I don't use fatwood enough, so to me, this is good enough right now. And I've already put some of the stuff into our kits and stuff like that already, so it's already been spread out. I don't need to harvest more fatwood at the moment, but of course, depending on the situation, if I'm out, if it presents itself, I might still grab some, let's just say. Let me welcome into the room here, Cody Spinks. Spinks. Yeah, Spinks. Here. What's up, man? Coastal survival is easier for foraging, but if you're bugging out from a hurricane, probably not the best move. Okay. Yeah, I could see that. I could see that. So yeah. These are just some questions that I just kind of wanted to get out there. Kind of think about for yourself. For your own personal preparedness. And for others getting to it. Alright? Like, knowledge, skills, always more important than the gear. But gear helps you do stuff, right? That knife gets you that fire started because you made feather sticks, and that hatchet made you that firewood and all that stuff, and that hatchet or axe made you that shelter. You know, that kind of stuff, the cutting tools, the tools, I don't mind having more of them. But then again, do you have too much of it? Where it's just like, maybe you have specific tools that you don't use as often, but they're useful and make the work easier when you actually have to doing it. Let me just read what you guys wrote real quick here. Trim your kit by knowing where to find resources found with etc. No point in packing easily found equipment. True. But that also depends on the time of year too. And the season too. Sometimes, and of course, like I said, it depends on the time of year and the season too. Sometimes it's easier to find certain resources. Like after a windstorm, pine trees might be knocked down. That wood's gonna be easy to find. During the winter, that might be a little bit harder, especially if it's snowing. It's just like, for example, anyone that used smooth pebbles for like shelter making or to connect a tarp that doesn't have a groundlet or something like that. I mean, I might be able to find smooth rocks during the spring, summer, and fall. Winter, good luck with that. Unless you're by like the shore or by a body of water. But even at that, you might be able to see them on the ground, but they might be permanently frozen to the ground where it's going to be very, very hard to get them out. Or actually bringing in something might be more useful. Just because that time of year. True, into the bush. But you might also need to pack that stuff you can find in nature because it would help you set up and get comfortable first, right? It's like with a fire kit. Yes, you can forage for tinder and such. Fatwood, birch bark, let's say this stuff right here, which is fluff from a poplar tree or cattail. But that also means that you have to go get it too. You have to spend the time to go getting it. And if you come into the area and you don't know what's in that area until you get into the area and see it for yourself with your own two eyes, or hearing it or touching it or whatever. You're gonna be actually there. So you might have to go a long more distance to find that tinder or whatever, where if you brought it in, you can start using it, build up that fire, get that firewood, and as you're getting firewood, you might come across more tinder that you can put back into your fire kit to use for that next time again. And I am gonna do something here. JC, you did not have to do that. I'll just say that straight up. That was not necessary. The 300 seconds was not necessary in there. Alright, anyways. So yeah, just to recap here real quick. As I'm pretty sure, yeah, I'm already at that half an hour mark. So, these questions, can you have too much or even too little gear? How do you know when it's enough? And what do you do with old or rarely used gear if ever? And is your gear layout balanced? Does it lack in specific areas? Is having too much of one gear type good or bad, depending on how you see it? And of course, if you keep extra or backup or redundant sources, how much is enough? See, these are questions that I've been going through as I've been setting up. I'm trying to, how do I say, in a nutshell, if if prepping and hoarding were on a scale, I'm trying to lean towards the prepping side more and less on the hoarding side, if that makes any sense. So it's more organized and structured versus no structure and disorganized and randomly placed everywhere, anywhere. That makes sense. So, with that, it's gonna be my 2-minute warning for this live stream. So, and hey, thanks Skinny G, I appreciate it. So let me just say, oh, hey Kentucky, what's up, man? What's up? Sorry you're catching me on the last like minute 90 seconds of the live stream, but you can go back, and I have the questions in the description right now. So just kind of something to think about. All right. I mean, gear. If you got the money or the resources, you can grab more gear. But then again, how much is it too much? How many cotton ball petroleum jelly cotton balls is too much? I mean, the thing with fire is like, do you think it's too much? Well, maybe. For me personally, do I think I have too much? I'm borderlining it, but then again, I realize I live here in Canada. It gets cold. So I've been trying to tone back the fire and gain more of the shelter element, if that makes any sense. What's up, Plymouth? Hello, and welcome. Special hi. So anyways, there'll be an end screen to the hoarding and preparedness live stream that I did a while back. That kind of goes into that other part of it. It's kind of related to this topic, so. Cold. Hey, I'm just glad it's getting warmer finally. I'm doing alright, women. Thanks for asking. Well, true, you need to scout the area beforehand, if you can. And not only scout it, that area, but try to see it in every season. So if you have 4 or 2 seasons, dry, wet season, or spring, summer, fall, winter, trying to check out that area in all the seasons, just so you get a grasp of it. And not just be like, oh, this is a great area, but you've only scouted it during the spring or summer, where it could be way different, more difficult in the winter or in the fall, for example. Rain. That rain won't go away but 5 days to the sun all summer, huh? Alright, anyways. So let me say special thanks to Kentucky. Kentucky Survival Into the Bush, great. 1107 Plymouth Fence here. Jason, Skinny G, Panda, step away from the screens. Cody here. Creativity Video, Kelly, Reynolds, Kelly, Kira, Corey, Passion Planting and Fishing, Happy Trail, Steve here, Kelly, Paulson, and Eric Matthew Willow, who came in the beginning here, for joining this live stream while it was live. So with that, it's time for an outro. So as the world changes, so must oneself. To reach a new level of skill and knowledge, one must practice. A single person can't help everyone in this world, but one person can help someone in this world. And until the next video and live stream from me, it's peace out from, you know who, that guy that's in creation mode 98.6% of the time. It's peace out from, you know who, CR. And I'll catch you next time. And thanks for dropping in.